So this is the Thought Leadership live stream of the week. I'm flying solo today because Jesse is at the 90-day year event with actually several members of this group. So it's just me today, but just to let you guys know, next week we'll be starting a new series on leadership and thought leadership. So for the first month that we have been making this shift, we were talking about what is thought leadership, what is it with the intersection of entrepreneurship, how do these two meld, how do they speak to each other, how they differ, how can we leverage them. And then this month we've been talking all about healthy leadership habits. So oh man, I can't believe I just talked to you guys for that long with no sound on the previous video. Thanks for sticking with me. So anyway, next week we'll be introducing a new topic for the month around thought leadership. But if you guys have any more thoughts around healthy habits of leaders, keep them rolling. Let's keep the discussion going. Just because we've shifted the main topic onto something else doesn't mean we can't talk through this, because it's a bigger topic than 1 month will allow us space to delve into. So all good. So today I'm talking about possibly the scariest thing in the world for some people, maybe myself included, is the healthy leader habit of asking for help. So we're bringing this to the table as partially a reminder to ourselves and a challenge to ourselves, Jesse and me, that asking for help can be a good thing. So we're going to dig into that a little bit, but here are the 4 things that I'm going to be talking about today, which is 1, why it's hard for leaders to ask for help. Number 2, what are the benefits of doing so anyway, even though it's freaking hard. Number 3, how to actually control that urge to be in control all the time. So like how to overcome that. And then number 4, what is the true mark of a leader? So that's what we're going to be digging into today. And if you guys are joining us from the other post, joining us. I like speaking the royal we now because I'm so used to being a business partner. If you're joining me from the other post, welcome. Sorry about the tech glitch. Okay, so before I dig into topic number 1, which is all about why it's so hard for leaders to ask for help sometimes, I want to share a few stories about this. So one you may have heard before. Jessie loves to tell this story. So a couple of years ago, she was about to be on summer break. She was going to be going to Europe for a couple of weeks, maybe even a whole month. I can't remember. It was a long time. And so she didn't want to leave me stranded with no support. We had no support at the time in terms of a team. Hey, Lori. So we hired our first VA. And then promptly gave her nothing to do. We didn't integrate her into the team. We helped, like nothing changed. It was like status quo. We were still in all the things, doing all the things, scheduling all the things, mucking around an Active Campaign, WordPress, whatever. You name it, we were doing it. And so finally, a couple weeks into it, Megan, our lovely VA, was like, do you want me to like do anything? Like, you hired me. What is my purpose here? So just goes to show you, you're not alone. I'm gonna tell you a few more stories about, man, I had some good stories that were in that other video that I suddenly don't remember. I can't think of more. I'm sure I will continue thinking of them. But see, it's not just about delegation. I think you're right. It is hard but necessary, and its own filthy animal. I love that. But it's also about asking our mentors for help, right? So this is something that I actually shared in a Facebook post here in the group, I think yesterday. I was talking about the time that we had just been working with Adrienne Dorison for 12 months. We had just finished that program. It was amazing. It was great, super helpful. She connected us with amazing people. Like, we saw business growth like no other. Like, we saw personal growth. But there were still some issues, right? Because you can't solve all the issues of the world in a year. And one of the issues was this group. This is not you guys' fault. This was our fault. But we were like, man, why? And this is also like when everybody was like closing their groups and opening their groups and like freaking out about algorithms and all this stuff. If you can remember way back to like 2 months ago. Things change so quickly. And we had a follow-up, like wrap-up call with Adrienne. And we were just like, for the very first time ever, instead of saying to ourselves like, oh, we just don't want to bother her with things, because I mean, she would ask us constantly, like, how can I support you? How can I support you today? How can I support you this week? And we finally said, like, lay it on us. Like, what opportunities do you see that we are not seeing? So from your perspective, what's going on, right? That like we could be doing. So finally, 13 months in, actually 14, because we had an intensive with her the December before. So it took us 14 months to ask this brilliant human being who like so desperately had been asking us like, how can I help you all that time? It took us that long to be like, yeah, how can you help us? I mean, not saying that she hadn't. She did help us immensely. But like in terms of just kind of getting her carte blanche to say what opportunities she saw, what were the missing opportunities. And I think this is key for us to be listening, because she's been saying these things all along to us, but we were like, I'm in control. We control the destiny of our business. You know, this is like our thing, and we've hired you for this purpose, and we put it in a little box, right? And instead, finally, we were like, maybe this box is bullshit and like doesn't need to be there, and maybe we should just trust that Adrienne knows what she's talking about. And when we asked her for her sort of open door perspective on our business and the missing opportunities within it, that she's gonna have really good ideas and really good points. Turns out she did. And one of the things that she, yes, always hire those smarter than you. Exactly. I'm gonna get to your other question here in a second, Lori. Does anyone else struggle with what to ask for help with? And one of the things that Adrienne pointed out to us very lovingly in like her wonderful way was that we were telling people, share your story. We were telling people, be vulnerable, be authentic. Like that's part of your message. And we'd started a program for thought leaders. It was a group program. This was our first time running it. It was like the evolution of a previous group program that we've been running. But we had done like this super quiet launch. We just reached out to specific people. I think we only emailed the list like 2 times about it. It was really just like a quiet private launch. And we weren't talking about thought leadership publicly, and we weren't talking about our own story, really, especially me. I think Jesse's better at this than I am. And so it was like very much a wake-up call to the fact that we were not practicing what we preached. We were not showing up the way that we really wanted to. The reason that the Facebook group had sluggish engagement, nobody was ever watching the lives, nobody was really joining at a fast pace, is because like we weren't showing up. We weren't making it an interesting, valuable place. We weren't creating a sense of community. Like why would we expect people to stay around? It is noisy out there. And those of you guys who did stay with us through that dark period, like I'm pretty sure you just did it because either you love us and like you've been in our programs and you trusted that we would somehow figure it out eventually, or B, you know, you were just in here and it was like floating to the bottom of the algorithm pile, and like it didn't probably didn't even notice you were in here because nothing was going on, right? So yeah, we finally asked her for help, and look at this. Like I've got all of you guys talking at me live. That's amazing. This was never happening before. The group of people that we had coming to the roundtable a week ago, like right now, that was incredible. Like we've never had that many people come to like something like that before. I mean, and the quality of the discussion, it's not just about the quantity of humans doing this, but like the quality of the discussion and the way you guys are stepping up is like mind-blowingly cool, right? Like those of you guys who are, we've had people reaching out to us saying, I've never thought of myself as a leader before, but like you're showing me it's possible. Like I can do this. That's like guys, this is the coolest thing ever. I wake up every morning like, I love my job. I love it because of you guys. And I just like, you guys would have gotten here anyway, and many of you already have been here anyway, but like we weren't helping, right? And now I feel like we're showing up in a way that we need to. And it's all because finally we asked for help. So yes, it's about delegation, and it's about asking for help all around, right? It doesn't have to be just like the people on our team or the people in our family. It can be just people around us, people in our community, our mentors. I want to come back before I move on though to this question about does anyone else struggle with what to ask for help with? So one of the things that we've been doing lately that's really been helping is instead of, so I'll tell you a story, just tell stories. We hired a funnel and Facebook ads strategist last year, and we had her for 3 months on a contract. We said, these are our goals, this is how we're doing it, this is what the funnel looks like. And basically at that point, she was helping us get a Facebook audience and building up the pixel. On the final month, we were like, you know, I'm not sure we utilized this arrangement as well as we could have, because we didn't get her permission and that carte blanche to say, this all is my area of expertise. Some people will say it anyway. Some people will just step up and be like, so I'm seeing some missing opportunities here. But A, some people don't, and B, sometimes we're not open to hearing it. So what we're doing now, Lori, to address this question of like, I don't know what to ask for help with, is just to say like, here's the situation, you're an expert, what opportunities do you see? Like, just go play in your zone of genius and let me know what comes up for you. So in that final month, we did that finally. We were like, okay, really, like you're an expert not just in Facebook ad audiences and targeting, but like you do all this other stuff too. It's about like the ad messaging, it's about the funnels, it's about like the experience of the person. We aren't tapping into any of that. So like what opportunities do you see? And I'll tell you that third month was way more beneficial for our business than the first two when we were trying to control everything and set parameters, right? So like, remember, we're putting boxes around people all the time, but that's just a construct. It's all in our heads, right? But like it is, right? We think we know what someone does or what their sort of the limits of their expertise are, or we want our hands on things. So this gets me to that question of why is it so hard for leaders to give up control and to ask for help? And I think part of it is that control thing, right? Like we feel like our way of doing things is the best, or B, it's not necessarily my way is better than anyone else's way, or better for my clients or for my business. But sometimes it's I just hadn't thought of that, right? We come at a problem with our own experience, with our own knowledge, with our own sort of set of circumstances. And it turns out the beauty of other people is that they are other. So they're gonna have other experiences, other sets of knowledge, other pieces of wisdom to bring to the table. And when we close the door to that, we're really shutting ourselves off from opportunity, right? So I think that's part of it, is sometimes it's stubbornness and sometimes it's just like maybe ignorance or just like not really considering the fact that other people have different viewpoints and perspectives to offer us. I think another piece of it is a point of pride. So some of us is ego. You always hear that, leave the ego at the door. That's a great principle for leaders, for anyone. And I think this is one of the arguments in this book, if you're joining us for the book club, is that you can lead from any position. You don't have to be the facilitator. You don't have to be standing on a podium or have an office in the C-suite to be a leader. But yes, you can lead from anywhere. And I lost my train of thought. But in any case, we don't leave our ego at the door, and we look at ourselves, leadership as a position instead of a mindset or a privilege. me say that again. When we think about leadership as a position instead of a mindset or a privilege, that's when we're in danger of wanting to keep control, wanting to keep ego in the picture, being unable to separate it from it. So it's not about your title. It's not about your position. It's about how you approach your relationship with other people. Hey, Leanna, I'm glad you can hear us. Hear me. Yeah, that video, that was 12 minutes of silliness. Okay, Angelica, love this. I hate when my clients try to figure out funnels on their own. I'm like, why didn't you ask me? It's why you hired me. Exactly. So, yes, and I think that's the other piece too, right? Is like people want to help us. Like, yes, people we hire want to help us because it's what we hired them to do, but also just the people around us, people who like and support and love us and believe in us, want to help us. Strangers want to help us. Again, going back to this book, there's a story in here about how the author was helped by two completely random strangers, and it was a joy for them to help her, right? And it was a joy for her to ask, but it took her a little bit of courage to do so. So I hope that this helps with clearing it up a little bit, and I hope that it normalizes. If you're feeling like it's difficult to ask for help, it's okay. Like, you can acknowledge that and sit with it and acknowledge that that's a thing that you're wrestling with, and then move forward. So let's talk about that a little bit. The benefits of asking for help. These should be very evident, right? But some of them are going to be super evident, like suddenly things are off your plate. Suddenly you have support. Suddenly those things that seem very much like a big mountain in front of you, all of a sudden now you have a mountain pass to go over because you have support and help and community along the way. But I think another benefit of this that doesn't really get talked about a whole lot or as much is the fact that you're empowering other people to live into what is deep within them, which I believe is a desire to make the world a better place. I could be wrong, but I think many of us, and probably almost everybody in this group, really wants the world to be a better place. And we want to contribute. We have a desire to be contributors to the world, to the people around us, to our environment. And when we empower other people by saying, can you help me to do something that is a contribution, we're helping them live into a deep desire that we all have as humans, as members of a very social species who care about relationships and who care about each other. Maybe I'm just sort of sounding like the socialist that I am. But I really do feel that like people feel good when they help, right? This is something that I learned when I was working as a grant writer. Oh yeah, that's one of the stories that I told silently. That I discovered that people really want to give. People want to help. People want to feel like they're a part of something. They want to contribute. So I think that's a huge benefit, right? Is that when we ask for help, we're actually cultivating a better world. A, we're not so stressed out. So like our cup isn't empty and we have something to pour from it and we can help other people. But B, we're helping other people live into their innate desire to contribute and to give. Yay for socialists. Love it. I like how you phrased it from your perspective, what opportunities am I not seeing? Yes, I hope that's a helpful question. And I think it gives people permission, right? Because sometimes they may be a little nervous to say like, Lori, I've seen something here that's an opportunity, but like that may feel weird if they like don't know you super well or like you just started working with them or whatever it is. But this just sets the tone right off the bat that like you're open to feedback. You want to hear from them. You trust that they are a wise, valuable human being and that they want to contribute. Linda says, and I totally agree, humans love to help. That understanding backfires when it comes to writing sales copy or in sales conversations because no one wants to admit they need help, so using the word help isn't cool. That's juicy and intriguing. I'm going to need to think about that a little bit, Linda. Yeah, I'm gonna come back around to that. If not in this, Angelica. I'm a tired capitalist, but I still love you. I love you too. Yes, I really like that comment, Linda. I think it's very intriguing. And I may not get back to it on this live, but I'm going to do some thinking about that and get back to you. Very fascinating. Okay, the other story I was going to share, this was about my trouble asking for help. So when I was about to graduate from college, I was looking for a job, and I was going to job fairs. I had brushed up on my resume. I was going to interviews, and I was basically trying to do everything on my own merit, is how I was thinking about it. I wanted my degree, my grades, my tiny, tiny bit of work experience to speak for themselves, right? And I just wanted to get a job by being the best candidate who applied to a position. I was not getting job offers. And then one day I was hanging out with a couple of my friends, Lauren and David. And David said, he'd already graduated. He said, guys, I'm going to law school, so I'm actually going to be leaving my job. Lauren, I think you should apply for my job if you want it. I'm a grant writer at a local nonprofit hospital. And she said, I appreciate that, David, but, my future career is in veterinary sciences. I don't really know if this is a good fit for me right now. I so appreciate it. And I thought for a second, and then I did probably the bravest thing I ever had done before, which was saying, David, if Lauren's not going to apply, can I? I asked, would you look over my writing samples and would you put my name in front of your boss? And would you know, that led to my first job out of school. And I felt dirty. I felt like I had cheated. I felt like I had not deserved it, that I had not gotten there on my own merit, that I had only gotten there because I knew someone. Now I look back on that and I realize how ridiculous that perspective is. But that was my mindset, right? Turns out I had gotten there on my own merit, right? Like I had become friends with David because I wasn't a terrible human, right? Number two, and we were friends. Number two, I had shown some writing samples, so I could prove that I could string some words together. So being a grant writer wasn't insane. Three, I did have an interview. The interview literally was sitting down at a restaurant in Houston with David and his boss and then the other writer in the group. It felt so casual. I felt like I had cheated, but what happened was I had seen a new possibility, right? Terrible human syndrome, indeed. And I just felt very dirty for asking for help, but what I didn't realize at the time was that we're all doing it anyway, right? Like when we apply for a job, we're asking for a seat at the table. When I approach a friend asking, hey, could you put my name in front of your boss? That's no more or less really asking for help. And there's nothing wrong with it, right? There's nothing wrong with leveraging relationships. There's nothing wrong with reaching out to people who like and respect us anyway. It's just very much a mindset thing. So yeah, no shame in that. So there's a really interesting conversation going on here about that topic of marketing language and the word help. Angelica says, I struggle with marketing language. Like, when do you tell it as us versus, wait, sorry, I'm trying to understand what you're saying here. Okay, when do you tell it as it is versus tell them what they want to hear? I gotta know. Sorry. Interesting. And then Angelica goes on to say, like, I know what sells. Sometimes it makes me feel dirty, but the truth would scare people. So it's a hard balance. This is really interesting. I feel like this is like a whole live stream topic for another day. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to table it for another topic, but I really think this is very interesting. This whole topic of marketing language, help, sales. How do we do this in a way that speaks the truth but doesn't feel icky? Very interesting conversation, ladies. I'm very glad you're bringing it up. And carry on, because everything you guys are putting in the comments is going to be fodder for Jesse and me to kind of dig through and to be able to address this topic. So very valuable. Okay, so I've kind of talked through why it's hard for leaders to ask for help, and I've talked through some of the benefits of asking for help, both for ourselves and for the culture and community that we're creating, right? So then, if this is something that you want to overcome or something you struggle with, how can you overcome this desire to be in control all the time? Off topic, but Linda started it. Yes, you started it. No, I'm glad you did, Linda. So yes, definitely going to get back into that. So let's talk now a little bit about how we can get off our control power trip. So there's a few things that we can do, and you guys are probably going to have a lot of insight into this as well. So keep dropping comments. I really appreciate you guys in the conversation you have here. And let's keep it going as a multi-way street here. But some of the ways that we can let go of the need of control. So one of the things is a mindset shift around what is the best way to do something. So a friend of mine shared a story with me recently. He was working for a company. He had a great relationship with the people there, at least initially. He came to the company with a wealth of experience and expertise. And then when he would be asked to do something, something would be delegated to him, he would do it, and then he would get chewed out because he hadn't done it the way his boss would do it. So if you've ever been in that situation, like my friend, you understand how not awesome that feels. And I think too, sometimes we can catch ourselves in our more conscious moments doing that to people around us as well. That we think that the way that we are doing something is the best way to do it. But here's something, I'm gonna go back to my mom's wisdom. This is something my mom taught me. And this is when I was first learning how to do household chores. And she told me that I will tell you either, or I'll ask you rather, to do something, or I'll show you how to do something, but I'm not gonna do both. So if you wanna wash the dishes, if you wanna learn how I wash the dishes, I will show you. But I'm not gonna say, you need to wash the dishes and you need to do it this way, or you need to mow the lawn and you need to cut the lawn in this way, right, in stripes. You need to make it look like a baseball field, whatever. I don't even know how to do that. It's like magic. She said that goes against my principles, and it makes you feel like you can't do anything right, and it stifles your creative expression. So I feel like my mom was super wise in that. And so that's something that I've actually really striven, is that a word, to do. Like with my husband, right? We all have honey-do lists for them, they have them for us. And so if I ask him, would you take the trash out to the street? And he does it, I'm not gonna niggle him on where he puts the trash can, right? Like, it's fine, it's out there, he did it. It's an expression of love that he did it for me, and I appreciate that, right? Same with work stuff. So I may have an SOP that says, like, this is how I do the thing. Now I'm handing it to you. But if you see a better way to do it, do it. It is yours. I give you ownership of it. It's your baby. Go do the thing. And I think that has been really beneficial. It's hard. But what happens then is the person who's doing the thing feels ownership of it themselves, and they're way more motivated to do it. So A, it's off your plate, which is awesome. And B, you have someone who's happy to do it, doing it, because they're doing it their way through their own creative expression. So like Sandy, for instance, she creates our social media graphics, like pretty much, I think never, hopefully never. Let me know if I'm wrong, Sandy. Let me know if I'm not living into this. There's never are we like, it needs to look like this. I mean, we have brand guidelines, but there's no guidelines in terms of, you know, how she puts the image together, because let's be honest, she has like 500 times better of a design eye than I do. And I so appreciate her for that. Yes, anti-micromanaging tips. Exactly, 100%. Okay, so another thing about overcoming being in control all the time, I think, is to acknowledge that our way of doing things isn't actually necessarily the best way of doing things. Our way of doing things is the combination of our experiences up until now, our expertise and whatever we bring to the table, how we feel about the thing. So this conversation about sales conversations, right? That's happening over here in the comments. You know, we may have a really bad experience with somebody's email list. And so then we decide email lists are for the birds. And then we decide I'm never going to email my list. This is actually a conversation, I'm hyperbolizing a little bit, but this is kind of a conversation that I'm having with a group of people right now, and trying to show them that isn't necessarily the case, right? Because you've had a bad experience, because you've been sold to in an inauthentic or yucky way, doesn't mean that that is intrinsic to email lists or email automations. So I think that's part of it, is to remind ourselves that we have a very limited view of the world. This is, I keep going back to this book, but it's so good, right? One of the things in this book is very early on, it talks about the fact that we are just naturally limited in how we operate within the world by our biology, right? There are bugs out there that can follow pheromones. Do we know what they are? Like, can we just like look at something and know? No, that's not something that's baked into our biology. Can we sniff with the power of our dog's noses? No, thankfully, right? We have a limited view of the world. B, we have a limited view of the world from our experience. So like just our life, the certain things that we've experienced, there's certain things we have not experienced. And so we have a limited understanding of what possibilities are out there. C, the way society interacts with us and social norms. There are constructs, boxes, right, that we put ourselves in, or we put relationships in, or we put interactions within, and they're constructs. It's a societal construct. So there's so many opportunities, there's so much possibility, to use the word of the book, out there that is limited to us when we just use what we can see, touch, sense, understand from our past. So in reality, control is just us putting a situation into a Marie-shaped box, right? Or a Linda-shaped box, or a Lori-shaped box, or whatever it is, that we are constraining possibility to our realm of understanding, when actually there's pretty much infinite possibility out there beyond that. So this is all sounding maybe a little cosmic and crazy, but I really think it's true, right? That like, all we have to do is just see the conversation between Angelica and me. I'm like, yeah, I'm a socialist. She's like, yeah, I'm a capitalist. But like, you know what? We both operate in the world. We both love each other. We respect each other, and we see more possibilities. So if I were to take my political and societal views and have like a heart-to-heart discussion with her, like I would probably learn so much, so many more opportunities that are out there through her worldview, and vice versa, right? When we come to the table feeling open, and when we leave our ego behind and say, you know what, like it's not my fault that like my realm of control is so limited, because literally I'm only human, and society, my experiences, and literally my body forced me to have a certain understanding of the world and a certain experience, right, of the world. But all I have to do to widen that is literally just to even talk with one other person. So it's not a fault thing, it's not a blame thing, it's not a flaw thing, it's just an awareness thing. So hopefully that gives you a few tips here. And then finally, I wanted to dig in a little bit. We got a little bit of a late start today, so I'm not going to go too much longer here. But what is the true mark of a true leader? If you guys have other thoughts too around how to stop feeling like you need to control all the things, drop them in the comments for me. The mark of a true leader, in my opinion, in this context of this conversation, is a willingness to ask for help, knowing that it could be hard, knowing that we have a limited perspective, knowing that control is an illusion anyway, and knowing that control is only at the end of the day harmful to ourselves and to the people around us. So one of the things that somebody said, I can't remember who it was, but we were talking about the definition of leadership, and one of the leadership qualities that was brought up was, I would not ask somebody else to do something I was not willing to do. You hear that a lot. And I think that's very valuable, right? Like I've worked, my last just job, I was working at Holocaust Museum Houston, and we had a big push, a big direct mail push. We had so many letters that we had to mail out, so many envelopes to stuff. And when you know, the executive director came in and helped us. She sat down and helped us. And to me, that spoke volumes about the kind of person she was and is. And obviously, you know, she's flawed. We're all flawed. But the fact that she was willing to do that was amazing. But she wouldn't have gotten to that point where she was sitting down, having a conversation with us as peers, as equals, as leaders gathered around the table for common purpose, if she hadn't asked for help in the first place. She had to have the staff in order to create a culture of leadership. So she had to do it. She had to say, hey, I need someone to run the development department. I need someone to write this email campaign. I need someone to print all this stuff. Like this, not that she even directed all of that. Honestly, what she did is she said, I need someone to be my director of development, and then said, okay, like I'll help support you. Part of my job is fundraising, but like, I'm not gonna get all up in your hair. I'm not gonna be a micromanager. I'm not gonna breathe on your neck. So I think it's a balance of those things, right? And there's a lot that we can say about like marks of true leaders, but when a leader is doing all the things, they're burning themselves out. They are limiting their potential because probably their zone of genius isn't in stuffing envelopes, right? Or whatever, you know, all the muck that we're in our business, all the doing. And they're also stifling the growth, creativity, and potential of the people who are surrounding them, whether those are people on their team, their mentors, their community, their clients, whatever it is. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys a little bit. And if nothing else, just like normalizing to know that like, if you're a leader who loves control, it's okay. Like it's okay, but we just need to acknowledge it and understand what the ramifications are and that there are alternatives and that it's not a flaw or a fault. It's just sort of the way we're built and we can overcome it because this is the beauty of humans. We're animals just like any other animal out there, except that we do have this conscious thought. We care about other people. We're able to see the big picture. So when we tap into that, into our higher purpose, we're able to leverage that as leaders. So I think that's pretty much what I've got for you guys today in terms of asking for help. My challenge to you today, your homework, is going to be thinking about what is one area in which you could use help that you are not asking for it. And then I would love for you guys to go ahead and ask for it by the end of the week and then report back to me. So you can do this in the Facebook group. You could send me a PM. You could send me an email at marie@northstarmessaging.com. Whatever you guys feel comfortable with, but I would love to hear from you and congratulate and celebrate with you in letting go of some control and asking for some help. Our zone of genius also does not mean having, being, and doing from our strengths. We must stretch in order to be in our zone of genius. So true, Linda. I love that. All right, thank you guys so much. So a week from today, we'll be launching a new series of live streams on a new topic around thought leadership for the month of April. We will be announcing that topic on Monday. Full disclosure, because we're still figuring it out. But I really appreciate you guys being here today and also bearing with our technical difficulties. And if you have not yet joined us for one of our roundtable discussions, please head over to the events tab in the Thought Leaders Think Tank. You can sign up there to get notifications of this weekly live stream and our monthly roundtables, which happen at the same time, but just on the third week of the month. Thank you guys so much. Let me know if you have questions or other thoughts. I'll be checking this comment thread for a little while, and we're going to be digging into this conversation around messaging, verbiage, selling, help, all that good stuff at a later time, because this is good stuff, and I'm so glad you guys brought it up. All right, have a great Wednesday, everybody. Take care. Bye.